What's good, YouTube? In today's episode, I show you how to install a variable throttle position sensor. This VTPS is an aftermarket sensor. I'll provide the part description over here. The sensor I bought comes with the plug and the position sensor itself. This 3D printed adapter, which I got from a guy called Sean on the interwebs, the link is, this adapter is printed in a high temperature plastic. This particular one is in ABS. You want to print it in a high temperature because this is located on the throttle body and you don't want this to get hot. What does a variable TPS mean? Well, inside this unit there's a potentiometer, which is basically a copper resistor which changes its resistance as the inside gets turned. When you attach this to the throttle body, there's a little key feature there, a flat bit on a round bar, and what that does is when you put your foot on the throttle, it turns that potentiometer, which gives different resistances depending on how much you push. With this multimeter, I'm going to find out what those values are and which pins give me those values. This is a manual wire stripper. It has different size holes to take the insulation off the wire. This is an automatic wire stripper, which it doesn't matter what size wire you put in, it automatically pulls it across at a certain distance over here. I totally recommend you getting one of these than this because I have used this countless of times without any headache, whereas this basically is just a paperweight now. Put the wire on the bottom teeth, push it flush against the yellow backstopper, which you can change how much you pull. Because I'm going to be soldering this, I want a bit more copper wire showing the end. So push it at the end. Sometimes it slips on this teeth, so you push down with your index finger and then you pull. Easy as that. With your multimeter set up, turn the setting to resistance, which is the omega signal, which stands for ohms. Get a flat screwdriver. I'm using a 6 size. I'm going to rotate the variable TPS all the way clockwise. And let's take some readings. Black and red, black and yellow, red and yellow, clockwise. 2.714, 2.006, 1.032. Okay, and the last one is right in the middle, so I'm going to turn this about, let's see, it's about 90 degrees, so I'm going to go 45. So what do these numbers mean? Let's put it in a graph, shall we? So to make these numbers make sense, we're going to call anti-clockwise as 0% throttle, the 45 degree as 50%, and clockwise as 100% throttle. As is black, red, black, yellow, red, and yellow. Okay, so black, red at 0, which is anti-clockwise, is 2.714. Black red at 50% is 2.274, and black red at full counterclockwise, which is 100%, 1.050. And we'll do the same with the other two rows. So what's the point of measuring the resistance of these three wires and the potentiometer, and why are you turning it left and right? Well, the MX5 Miata has 3 wires. The first one is the TPS signal, the second is the ground, and the third is the 5-volt reference voltage. The 5-volt and the ground pins should remain constant. It doesn't matter which position the potentiometer is in. The second is the resistance between the ground and the signal pins should be low with the throttle closed, so one end, and high with the throttle wide open. And the last one is the 5-volt and the signal pin will be high with the throttle closed and low with the throttle wide open. So it should be opposite of the ground and the signal. So 0 is going to be low throttle and 100% is going to be high throttle. black and yellow stays relatively the same resistance throughout the range, so that's going to be our 5-volt and ground pins. So black can be ground or 5-volt, same with yellow. And the resistance from the ground signal to, so that must mean, so if black or yellow is either ground or 5-volt, we definitely know that red has to be the signal pin. Red equals signal. So now we just got to find out if black is ground or 5-volt, or yellow is ground or 5-volt. Now it's pretty easy to guess that black is the ground, but we're just going to go through this process anyways so that we get it 100% right. Now we know that the red is the signal. Let's take red and yellow. So it goes from 0 throttle, goes from a low resistance to a high throttle, high resistance. With this, yellow is the ground in this case because ground and signal pins will be low with the throttle closed, and then high with the throttle wide open. So that means yellow is the ground. That means the 5-volt is the black. It's black and red. This one here will be high with the throttle closed, and then low with the throttle wide open. So that is it, team. Black is the 5-volt, ground is the yellow, and red is the signal. Now, armed with this newfound knowledge, let's install it into the car. This is the location of your stock TPS sensor. It is held on by 2 bolts, one here and one below it. Let's remove it. How to remove this? Remove the throttle cable. Now we have to remove the throttle body, which are 2 nuts, 12mm, and 2 bolts underneath. To make this a little bit easier, we're going to remove this hose clamp here so that we can have access to these 2 nuts and the 2 bolts at the bottom. Oh, that was a tight like a tiger. Slide it off. Come on. Boy. There we go. Now let's take a look at our old loom. This looks like it directly plugs in. Oh crap, it does. I wonder if it works just like that. Let's give it a try. The worst that can happen is it doesn't. Once the TPS is in the engine bay, now it's time to make sure that the ECU knows that you are using a variable TPS instead of the stock on-off TPS. Remove the top 4 screws on your MX5 plug-and-play tube. And the pin that we're looking for is right in there. It says variable TPS, and you want to jump those 2 there. It has like little brackets around it. It's a 2 and a bit something mil jumper. We can put the cover back on and install it back into the car. For my first trial, I'm going to try use the original plug that we saw on the stock TPS sensor, just to see if MX5 can read that, and why not save some time instead of splicing into the new connector. So laptop's plugged in, starting the car, computer's connected. Oh, here we go. Calibrate TPS sensor. And as we can see, there's some status bar here. So I'm going to push my foot down, and it's going that way. I'll leave my foot up, and it goes up there. So looks like foot off, so 0 throttle, 100 throttle, 0 throttle, 100 throttle. What this means is that one of the wires, or two of the wires, are connected in reverse. So it's having a high current. Oh, there you go. That's the 485 with it foot off. Push my foot down, 28. So that means I need to flip two of the wires. I think what I'm going to decide to do is just chop the original, rewire it in here, and then tape it back up so it looks all original. Throttle off, throttle on, throttle off, throttle on. Get current, get current. So what I did wrong was that I swapped the two wires. Was actually the black and the red wire that needed swapping, not the green. So now that I found out what to swap, time to solder this back up, put some heat shrink, tape it up, just good as gold. What? It's like planting rice in a paddy field.